Howdy, folks. So today I'm chatting here again with Stephen Potter, and this is a snippet from another conversation that we had a while back, which you can check out more of those videos on my page. And this one is about basically the modern phenomena and how it applies to society and also to men. And we talk a bit about the modern man and primarily with technology and all this overstimulation and what it has been doing to us as individuals and as a society, as a culture. So, yeah, it's very insightful. Lots of nuggets and truth bombs. So, hope you enjoy. People just built all these buildings and now
Yeah,
they're just filled with men jerking off to this free porn and eating ice cream. And it's like you don't have
totally.
not being
Absolutely.
forced to do those kind of trials or anything. It just kind of created
Totally.
this softness and this
Yep.
misery.
And that's a modern phenomenon actually, because I mean, we used to do barn raising
What's barn raising?
until when the whole town gets together and puts a barn together in a day or
Gotcha.
a week or however long it takes. But and it's like a whole thing. They do apple, pie, and everybody eats, and they still do it in Pennsylvania in different Quaker areas. Um, so some of that is still happening, but if you look at what you're pointing to is that we're not community oriented anymore. We're individual
Mm,
oriented now. It used
yeah.
to be even in the 1930s still. So somewhere in the last since 19 maybe 60s ish, the focus stopped being on the greater good. You got to do. You don't kill people for the greater good. You don't steal for the greater good. Like there was a expectation that you act a particular way, be a particular way, and it was community focused primarily, and not everywhere. So that's kind of an overgeneralization, but the emphasis has become more and more on the American dream. And when that was really inserted, it's like you can be anything there, you can do anything there, and it still is that in some places. Although our reputation right now is just terrible globally, but it was that if you wanted to go make it, if you wanted to go be someone, you want to go be something, you went to the Americas,
Hmm.
and that's where the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
And so that's where a lot of that came from. So then when we stopped being about our communities, like I don't know if this happened when you were a kid, but when I was a kid, we still had block parties where once a year or whatever
Hmm.
it was that all the neighbors came out of their houses and they all had this party and everybody ate hot dogs and did all that. And that was in the 80s and 90s. So somewhere even from there, we've devolved into don't talk to me, I'm busy.
Yeah. It seems like all this technology.
It absolutely was. The introduction of the cell phone was
Yeah.
the biggest impetus to it. Even with computers, it was the cell phone actually that altered everything. So even with computers, you had offices that for the most part had one main computer. Not everybody had email, and your phone line was still, even when I was growing up, we had one phone. It was in the kitchen. If you were on it, you were on it. There was one phone line. There was not, when we got a second phone line so that my dad could have a business line, it was like, whoa. And so the issue with technology is that we're constantly being stimulated all the time. And think about it. People are actively selling your personal information right now. Your email is on somebody's list right now that you didn't sign up for, that came because you got an app from somewhere else that got bought out by this other company, and all of their lists are now inside of their, have you ever gotten random emails and you're like, I didn't sign up for that?
Oh yeah. All
It's
day.
happening right this minute. Right this minute, your email and your phone line is being bought by a different company somewhere. Nobody is immune. So then it's not really a wonder why we're protecting ourselves all the time from being invaded, because that's the experience. It's like it's like you can't get away, no peace of mind. Everybody wants you all the time. Everybody wants something from you all the time. All that was a
Mm,
shift with technology in the last
yeah.
20 years. So I mean, for example, my wife she texted me a photo of a watch that she liked. She didn't send me a link even. I opened it up, I looked at it, I put it down. The next day, I got on Facebook. and there was a link and an advertisement for that watch company. So
Yeah.
people are desperate to be left alone because they're being technologically invaded 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Being listened to, being watched.
Well, a lot of it's
Crazy.
even automated. It's not even that seditious necessarily. It's like, but with everybody being on, it's like we're on all the time, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on whatever the next thing is. Now it's TikTok. It's going to be the next thing after TikTok. You know, YouTube was a big thing when it was new. You know, so it's like on. Netflix on, porn on. It's all on. But we're exhausted because the body's not designed for that.
Yeah, this technology is advancing a lot more than we have as human beings, and it's just overload
In
the
some regards.
stimulus.
Yeah. Well, the human body is born to be awake while the sun is up and asleep when it's dark. So we may evolve past that, but that's the baseline. But we're not getting up at 4 in the morning anymore because we're not farming anymore. So most of the time, men like you and I, 100 years ago, you and I would have been on a farm somewhere, or in the military somewhere, or in seminary. That's what would have been happening because that's
Hmm.
what was available. Or you were learning a skill trade. So we would be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to bed around 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, somewhere in there. And that was the options. If you were of any kind of anything, you were either in the seminary, in military, or in medicine, or a lawyer. But you had to be either a skill trade or military or clergy, or you weren't a man.